So where did the name Zweback come from?
So it's a candy. It's like a piece of toast candy in Germany. It's the most boring story in the world, but I'll explain it.
Okay, then we'll skip it.
Well, whenever you come up with a YouTube channel name or like it's not often that you think it's going to go anywhere, so you just come up with whatever random thing is. That's why you have so many weird sounding names. And it was this toast in Germany as a kid that I put Nutella on and have it, and it's spelled a little bit differently, so they can't come after me. But that's where it's from. And in German, it's Zweback, but I switched it and
Zweback.
Yeah, it stuck. And
that's a pretty glorious German word, and I think it's safe to say that, I mean, I want to say welcome to Lebanon, because I know virtually, technically right now, you are in Lebanon in our eyes, but I know it's not the first time you've been here. You've been here around like
three times, right? You've been here
three times. 2001.
3 times.
And then 2015, and then 2001, 2014, and then 2016.
16,
yeah, which is super cool. And you had the privilege of attending a Lebanese wedding.
Yes.
Which, can I just tell you something, just from my perspective? Having a YouTuber who plays FIFA attend a Lebanese wedding is such a weird contrast. Like, this is the weirdest thing. Honestly, I can't imagine. Like, did you manage to compose yourself? Were people like, being nosy, asking you about your business, your net worth, or how did it go?
No, not really. I mean, it was pretty chill. The only time someone came up to me about the FIFA stuff was day number 2 at Shafiq's apartment in Beirut. We were on the balcony, and I was hanging out with him and his mom, and I noticed in the corner of my eye there was like a group of kids gathering by the beach, by the boardwalk, and I didn't think much of it at first, but then I was like, okay, hold on, they keep looking up here, right? So I'm like, wait, what?
They're gonna jump me.
What? Yeah, wait, what's actually going on? And so I go inside, I check my Twitter, and it takes forever to reload because of the amazing internet, and then sure enough, they're like, Zway, come down. And then so I go back out on the balcony. I'm like, do you guys mind if I go downstairs really quick? And they're like, why? Like, why would you want to go downstairs? You just got here, And then sure enough, it was like 5 kids from the city, and they had seen me take a picture of the view of the skyline from the apartment, and they all lived in the area, so they triangulated of sorts and figured out exactly where that was. It was brilliant. I gave them credit. So yeah. I went down, I gave him a couple t-shirts, and it was cool. It was a really good interaction. And then outside of that, it was just literally, just an awesome time in Lebanon. The wedding was nuts.
Cool.
Wedding was absolutely
crazy. I was about to ask you right now, like, what were your impressions of Lebanon during your...
And Lebanese people.
Yeah, and Lebanese people during your
always, so growing up, I've known Shafiq since 4th grade. So I had tried to go there in middle school a couple times, and there were some issues where it wasn't safe to go. And so my first trip to Lebanon actually was canceled. I wasn't allowed to go. It was during the summer of, something happened during the summer of 98 or 99, and it prevented me from going. But then August 2001 rolled around, and we went as a trip. It was me and my 2 other friends, and then also Shafiq. So that was my first trip there, and it was, I had never been to a place like that before, specifically as far away from Miami as I possibly could have gotten. But I fell in love with it near instantly, man. Like the food, something about it's going to sound cheesy to you guys because you guys are there, but like something about like a Mediterranean sunset with that mist, and it's hot as, there's just something romantic about that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we still feel that romantic feeling even up until now, having lived here for such a long time. We understand that. It ain't cheesy at all.
Yeah, that's the thing. We curse this country all the time, and then we just look at the sunset or we look at the Mediterranean and we're like, yeah, but damn, we have a view at least.
Yeah, even just look around you sometimes at the mountains and the views and shit.
If we're going to burn alive, at least we're going down with a view, It's that weird contrast of these two very extreme different viewpoints. But yeah, no, it's I don't know why it gives me that little bit of satisfaction that you visited here, and at least we can relate from
there's there's like that type of relationship where like, oh shit, you've been, like, as Ryan said earlier, one of the biggest FIFA YouTubers in the world has been to Lebanon so many times, is actually very familiar with our culture. Like you said, Shafi is one of your closest friends, and going into the conversation, going more towards the topic of like fucking YouTube and FIFA. Like when I was in middle school, if somebody came up to me and told me like, you know what, if you can make a career if you learn how to edit videos, you can make a career of playing FIFA and uploading those videos to YouTube. I would have been like, fuck it, I want to do it right now. But
Dude, I would have asked that person like, what are you smoking? What are you injecting? And where can I buy several kilos?
You have
of
like
what
two
have?
polar, two different reactions.
I went down the narcotics avenue. Yeah, exactly.
You could tell like substance abuse between us.
But no, it is. I'm so we're both so curious about what you do.
Yeah.
And I just kind of, without making it boring, when did the idea come about for you to be like, oh shit, I can make a career out of playing FIFA?
Well, it started. I mean, I've been playing video games all my life. Been playing FIFA since 2002. Madden, Counter-Strike. Interestingly enough, some of my fondest memories are in internet cafes in Beirut with Shafiq.
It's Counter-Strike.
Yes, Counter-Strike, Dota, right? Yeah.
Dude, so like
Counter-Strike,
I Counter-Strike at home in Miami by myself, playing against other people online across the world, that's one thing. Being in an internet cafe in Beirut with kids screaming their lungs off, like
100%.
literally screaming at the top of their lungs.
Yeah.
Bro, totally different experience. It was like it was the best LAN party ever. But anyway, the first 2 nights we did Beirut totally wrong. We should have gone out. We should have done the clubs and stuff like that. But no, where were we? We were at the internet cafes of Beirut playing Counter-Strike. So that's Counter-Strike. That was one of my loves growing up in terms of the actual game. And then 2012, 2013 is really when gaming and YouTube started becoming a little bit more, taken a little bit more seriously. There still weren't a lot of people doing it. You had PewDiePie, you had KSI, obviously. He paved the way for everyone in the FIFA community. And
but it started hitting the mainstream around that time. Like people started becoming more
100%.
like knowledgeable about the term of gamer, like what the gamer actually does.
Yeah, I mean, like the industry was non-existent. There was gaming, and like you had a couple pros during the early 2000s, but it was around 2010-ish, a couple of years after that, where the content creation actually became a viable job as opposed to just being a pro at the game. You didn't have to be incredible at the game. You just had to have a camera, a couple, a hop hog, which is what we called it back. You had to have these, this device that you hooked up to your console or whatever. It was really difficult. It wasn't very accessible. And then flashback to like flash forward to 2013, 2014. I saw a couple of guys doing it. I was in a financial services job that I did during the day that I didn't really love. And so I'd come home at night and then I would stream playing FIFA. Don't ask me how I figured out how to set everything up, but it worked out. And so I'd work from 9 to 5. I'd come home, have dinner, and then I'd stream from like 9 to 3 in the morning. And I did that on a loop for about a year and a half. And, I'd have a few people in the chat. Close-knit community, few people in the chat, but nowhere close to being able to do it as a profession. And then, 2014 rolled around, and that was a really popular FIFA. And I got kind of lucky meeting the right people. One of the bigger guys in the community, and I always got to shout him out, Nepenthes. One of the biggest UK YouTubers. Period. He came in the chat and he was like, "Hey, I like what you're doing. Come in our Skype call." Skype was big at the time. And he was like, "Hey, come on the call. Let's like network, and there's some other guys here. Let's all play together." And that kind of just one thing led to another, and it snowballed. And over the years, it just kind of ended up working out between YouTube and Twitch. And then I left that job in 2015 to pursue this full time. And I remember that day like it was yesterday because I don't know. I was kind of a beta in that situation. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to let my boss down. But it just got to the point where I was like, listen, I gotta go full steam ahead on this YouTube thing. And he understood, and he was like, all right, you got to go. And so
that's what I think people don't understand. Number one, the concept of watching other people play video games has been so alien to a lot of people. Obviously, to the older generations, like my parents.
Not even your parents though, like people our age. I remember we were explaining last weekend to one of our friends about like, oh, we're gonna get the gamer on, and he's like, bro, what is this thing gaming? Like, I don't understand.
Like, people spend their time watching others play a game,
and he doesn't understand that esports in general is one of the fastest growing industries in the world, and might even eclipse at one point like popular sports in terms of people that are actually consuming it and watching it.
And what I've watched many of your videos, and even before we knew that we were going to do this with you, I've come across your videos as well. And I think that's the thing I kind of wanted to ask you. When you think about it, everyone can get a PlayStation, everyone can download FIFA, everyone can play the game, and everyone can record themselves playing the game. So in essence, it's a very simple thing, but I think what separates you from the rest is, number one, the dedication you put in. Like, even your intros, like your intros have become legendary.
I was telling him about your intros. Like, the way I actually found out about you was through my younger brother around 2014-15, when you do your intros to the videos. I'm like, and I wasn't really into like gamers at the time, so my brother was playing it. I'm like, dude, who's this guy? And you're doing the intros about Piqué, Shakira, and like fucking the Zohan and shit like that.
You got creative with it.
I'm surprised I haven't gotten in trouble from some of those, but yeah,
dude. And then in the fucking lockdown, in the recent lockdown back in March, my brother and I were bored and just opened YouTube compilations of your intros, of your old intros. Man, they fucking crack me up until now.
And that's crazy to me that people will literally go and watch compilations of your intros, and I think it's just a testament to you, because you really put in the work. Like, it's not as simple as it looks, and that's the message I kind of want to give to people. Everyone's like, oh, anyone can do this. You can play video games and talk on a mic and just, but it's not that. So like, do you think there are what are the biggest misconceptions you think that people have of what you do?
Misconceptions, you guys hit it. You guys hit the nail on the head pretty much, that I don't want to say it's the most difficult job in the world. I don't want to hype it up like it's this like crazy. I mean, sure, it requires a lot of work and dedication that often goes overlooked, but it's for sure, yeah, probably, just the misconception that it is that you're just playing games and that's it, that you click a button and then you just kind of just wing it and you're just playing video games and then you upload it and that's it. I mean, there's so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes. Like you guys said, the editing,
Yeah.
The intros aren't as elaborate as they were back then. But I came out of film school, so I tried to bring a little bit of like a cinematic experience to the FIFA community.
Okay, that explains it.
So I was like
hiding that in the fact. Okay.
Yeah, dude. I was like vicariously kind of like trying to do like a Scorsese thing in FIFA. I mean, like, and it worked out, but
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the intros were nuts. I'd probably spend 2 hours on the intro, and then like the rest of the video was pretty easy, because it was like a 45 second intro, and then the rest with FIFA. And the FIFA stuff was still fun, but I was kind of, I don't know, I blended the two things, which I suppose was the differentiator that made the video stand out a little bit more, right? So I think, advice that I would give to anyone is probably, the passion shines through. I think that's true of anything that you do. If you're not passionate about it, people are going to pick up on it instantly. And it's like with you guys. The moment I saw one of your guys' podcasts and one of the videos on Instagram, I knew that you guys were passionate. And like the small details that you guys do with your show, you can tell that you guys believe in what you're doing, and it's the same thing. And I find that to be a commonality among people that are successful in whatever field, is you just have to be passionate about it. So for me, that's what it was. I mean, I'd wake up every morning, dread going to work, and then around 3 or 4 o'clock, I'd be excited because I'd be thinking about what I was going to do that night on stream, and like, what could I show them that's different? Maybe I show them something they haven't seen before. So I don't know. There was always that. And since then, every day I wake up, and some days are tougher than others, right? Like they say, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I don't necessarily agree with that. Not true at all.
Yeah.
Because you do something for long enough, there's going to be aspects of it that are mundane and that you're not going to want to do. And taking a day off is another thing. Like, we can talk about that later, but
I was gonna comment. I was not gonna comment. I was gonna add on to when Ryan was talking about. So you started gaming, and one of the misconceptions people have is that gaming is simple and easy. But when you become a very big gamer as yourself, another thing is having that pressure to constantly produce content and be out there and spend long hours. Like, I can't even imagine the amount of hours you spend per day just streaming and creating cool shit to release out there. And man, fuck, I can imagine it gets really, really fucking exhausting as well. And I think that's something that people don't really understand. People just think you're sitting down and you're playing games and you're having the time of your life. But like, I don't think that's the case at all.
Well, so I'll bring it back to Lebanon. To take off the week that I needed to go to Lebanon, and I only stayed a week because I thought of, the channel. I was like, okay, how long realistically can I take off where I can edit enough videos ahead of time and not just drive myself absolutely crazy? So yeah, in 2015, I think the 7 days I was gone, I had a video pre-edited and half of them uploaded. I had to upload the others from Lebanon, which was interesting. I had to handbrake. I
apologize on behalf of my government.
Dude, I had to handbrake the videos down to like 15 megs. And even then, I was kind of like having to upload through the night. It was hilarious. But I mean, hey, we got it done. And that's, it's that resiliency. There is a little bit of pressure. I mean, obviously, yeah, I mean, because the way that the YouTube algorithm works, it's shifted over the course of the years, but like daily content, for a while was the thing that you needed to do in order for the algorithm to push your video, So say you upload on a Tuesday, but then you take off on a Wednesday, and then you upload on a Thursday, the algorithm will say, okay, well, these people watched on Tuesday, so we're going to push this video on Thursday to them. But since you skipped a day, we don't have as much data. And I don't know, it's an interesting science behind the algorithm. Yeah. I suppose with any platform, right? Like Instagram favoring, I don't know, like Instagram
we're trying
models.
to crack the Insta. We're trying to crack it right now.
I saw how politically correct you were being. I was gonna come out and be like tits and ass, but
that's it. That's it.
Instagram models.
I mean, it's
models.
I don't know. I feel like they scan every image, and if they have that in the picture, it's like, okay, well, we're gonna put that to the front page.
That's true. That's completely
remember once we had the post that we wanted to upload on YouTube. It's like a small clip of one of our episodes about like people sexualizing a girl's profession, and we had like our designer draw a picture of a girl doing like a handstand, but in tights. And then YouTube kept on denying that thumbnail for being put on the video, and it wasn't vulgar at all. It was a girl doing gymnastics,
and it was drawn as well.
Yeah, it was drawn, and they were like, yeah, it goes against.
YouTube's wilding out right now. I mean, you have
big time.
I mean, I've had some. Okay, so interesting thing. I had one video about this player called Omar Al Suma. He plays in the Dawri Al Jamil League. I think it's one of the leagues.
Syrian?
He's Syrian.
Yeah.
So I had it titled "The Syrian Ibrahimovic," and that got demonetized. And that was like 2 years ago. Yeah, it was the Syrian Ibrahimovic.
Bro.
It had the Syrian flag on the thumbnail, and it had Ibra. And there was nothing else in the video that would have got it demonetized. I had a video of we had a Halloween themed set of cards come out when I had like a zombie on the thumbnail, which wasn't really scary at all, but it got demonetized because of that. So I mean, 2015 would have never even worried about anything like that. It was like the wild.
You saw what happened. You saw what happened recently with PewDiePie and KSI. KSI went on PewDiePie's video and they played this thing towards the end, and then YouTube totally demonetized it for no reason. They said you guys don't own the content of a song. They didn't even play it, they didn't even sing the song or anything.
Aren't creators like you, from what I've read, leaving YouTube to go on to other,
especially streamers,
platforms and streamers onto Twitch and different, because I don't know, freedom of speech is just becoming a bit clamped down on, or what's the situation?
I mean, YouTube for sure is becoming, there's definitely a politicized angle to YouTube. It's definitely, we had a couple adpocalypses over the course of the past few years, and so advertisers have been wary, and YouTube has recognized that, so they're trying to make it as appealing to advertisers as possible at the expense, I think, sometimes of creative liberties.
Of the content, yeah.
So, I mean, it's still the number one video platform. Nothing else comes close. If you're doing certain sorts of content like FIFA, we're relatively safe because there's nothing really controversial, in FIFA. So
unless you're the Syrian Ibrahimovic.
Unless you do the Syrian Ibrahimovic. Yeah, exactly. But I think diversification is an important thing. If you're doing YouTube specifically, you might be missing a trick. Certainly having a stream. I've had my Twitch stream for as long as I've had YouTube. I haven't been as consistent on Twitch, but lately, the past couple of years, I've really been grinding that because I sort of get a little bit more enjoyment out of that, the live interaction and such. But from a business perspective, it's like I said, it's nice. It's smart to diversify. If you're uploading YouTube videos, you're playing enough games anyway. Just create a Twitch stream or something like that, and do a little bit of that on the side, just in case for whatever reason. I don't think Google's going away anytime soon, but for whatever reason. You have something else, so those two things counterbalance.
Do you feel from a viewership perspective, do you feel that a lot of your viewers might have moved, like over the past 2-3 years, might have moved from YouTube to Twitch? Like now they're more widespread than before, especially gamers.
I think Twitch is certainly. I think they're both on the rise. Every time YouTube or Twitch come out with their analytics year over year, it's always up. There's always more people. There's always more people watching. I certainly think that the live experience is more attractive and more exciting for people. And it's interesting, you guys had mentioned that about, explaining to people who might not otherwise understand why would you watch someone that games. And there was a TED talk I watched a few days ago. It was actually kind of freaky. That was literally on that exact thing. I think it was one of the founders of Twitch, and he referred to them as campfires. So like, don't think of it as someone tuning in to watch someone play FIFA. That's very like niche and like nuanced. Think about it as a few people getting together around a campfire and then just kind of talking and really just getting involved in something that you love equally. Like
it's communal. It's
communal.
It's quite a communal experience. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. And that's very true. I mean, since I was a kid, I used to like literally to watch people, especially people who were better than me at certain games. Like I would just literally tend to be watching them, and in my head I'm like, well, why is this so enjoyable? But it's either you're watching someone who's a lot better than you at whatever craft you're doing, or in your case and in many other creators' cases, you're just watching people who are very entertaining, playing or doing something that you really enjoy. And when you combine those two things together, then obviously it's a good cocktail.
I remember we were the same friend that we were talking about last week when we got into the argument about like why do people watch gamers, and then I asked him, why do people watch somebody kicking a ball? Like he's like, why do some like it's the same. You could make the same argument as to why somebody watches sports, because at the end of the day you could either playing basketball, volleyball, rugby, football, whatever. It's that sense of, and I think we responded by saying it's that sense of entertainment, the thrill you get from it, because when you're really passionate about something or when you really enjoy something, watching somebody else do it in a better way than you do it makes you be like, holy shit, this guy's a genius in a certain way. It's the same way like if you get the best gamer in the world and you're a huge football fan, you watch Lionel Messi play, you get like, holy shit, how did you do that?
But imagine watching Lionel Messi play and he's also giving you a lot of funny commentary.
Yeah,
which is where we come from.
Exactly.
So you're watching someone who's really good at the game also be really funny and creative and shit. I mean, in essence, when you explain it like that, I'd want to watch it. And I think even from a business perspective, man, it's crazy how far it's come. And me being a nosy Lebanese, you know, I'm not gonna ask you for all the numbers, but like what type of numbers in terms of money is being generated? You know, from YouTube streaming, from Twitch.
So interesting little sidebar. I think that's why we watch Ibra, because Messi really doesn't have a personality. Yeah. Ronaldo has a personality, but like he's a different type of creature. They're on a different level. But Ibra, incredibly skillful, but also hilarious. Like
even Jose Mourinho to a certain extent.
People hate the guy. Yeah. I love him because I look forward to those press conferences. I look forward to those, him kicking the bottle on the sideline and like his little quotes.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. I mean, like, look, I'll put it this way. In terms of myself, I've gotten way more than I deserve. Way more than I deserve in terms of, it's rewarding from an emotional standpoint, and it's an incredibly rewarding career because, you get people, coming to you pretty much every day saying, hey, you know what, especially during this time right now with lockdown and everything, saying, hey, I don't have much going on. I got laid off from work, but when I tune into your streams for an hour every night, it kind of takes me away from...
It gives me joy, yeah.
It takes me away from all the stuff that's going on. And and that's for sure the most rewarding thing, man. But yeah, like financially, it's just
I didn't want to be...
Not at all.
I didn't want to be intrusive. I mean, I was going to ask you for your social security number, but after that... It's 715.
Listen, I don't know a thing about Ryan. Ryan's like really judgmental about people. Like he judges people by the amount of money that they make.
That's
so
true.
Like you have to excuse my friend on this one.
That's who I am. That's why we're friends, man. I'm just a guy with good morals, you know.
You know how every Lebanese is.
You know why I did ask you that question is because in our culture in this region, if you want to go up to your parents and be like, hey, I really think there's something in playing these games and streaming them and putting them online, the first thing that's going to pop up into their head
it's like, shut the fuck up, you schmuck.
Well, that's great. So you're going to be living off of us for the rest of your life. And that's why it is a big question to ask.
And think about them having to explain it to their friends. So like, oh yeah, what's Ryan? Ryan just graduated with like a master's right now. So like, what's he doing?
Yeah, he opened up Ronaldo on a
yeah, exactly. He's like playing FIFA in his bedroom.
Exactly. And why it's important to talk about these things is to show your parents that if you're willing to put down the craft and you have a talent for it, you can be rewarded financially. And for people to understand that in this region. So that's why I was a bit, kind of intrusive about the numbers.
He's not being nosy.
So
Exactly.
Good save.
I'll-
Good save.
I'll say this. It requires work, and like I said, it goes back to this. You don't want to rely on one platform, and it's such a tough sell. Trust me, I understand. So interesting little side segue, which is it's also related. I was in a cold plunge at my gym the other day, and there was a father and a son. The father maybe about mid-50s, the son, I don't know, 13, 14 years old. And we start talking, and we started talking about what we do for a living. And I told him I play video games professionally. And the dad kind of looks at me. He's like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, so I play FIFA, the video game, professionally. And the kid's like, "Oh, I know what he does." So like the kid knows because he watches a bunch of people. And
The dad's a boomer.
that's for sure a boomer. It was a boomer moment, dude. It was a boomer meeting a zoomer, and the dad started asking me questions. He's like, "Okay, so is it viable though?" And I was like, yeah, I've been doing it since about 2015, and it's been very, very rewarding, and I could just see the kid's eyes kind of light up. And I'm like, wait, what am I doing here? Am I convincing a father to let his son take the chance?
Yeah.
I mean, he's 13. If you're gonna take the chance, why not? I mean, you got nothing going
Take
on.
it then.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But no, it was just interesting because it ended up being like a 45-minute long conversation, and by the end of it, I was in the cold plunge, and I'm a baby. I don't love doing it. Like I just do it because it's regenerative. I was down, waist down, totally numb because I was so engaged in this conversation and explaining all these things, and he was asking, and I was like, "Oh, this is awesome! Like the kid's here too, and he wants to know." And I get out of the cold plunge, bro, and I'm like Jack from Titanic. Bro. I'm like literally, I've got like frost coming off the the mustache and stuff.
Hypothermia.
Yeah. But no, it was cool. But okay, but to be more specific, there's like I've done six figures in. Since I mean I've been able to achieve that specifically in terms of Twitch and YouTube. So
while following the thing that you're entirely passionate, I mean it's amazing.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
it is.
I'm not a fan of people who tend to downplay stuff like this, and just because it's new and it's different and you don't understand it, it's amazing. I mean, someone's following something they're passionate about and earning a good living. I mean, what more could you?
But the thing that annoys me though, like especially in our society, is that if you were to follow this unorthodox, not necessarily gaming, but this like new age, anything that's new age or that's unorthodox, and you were to take a risk and go into it, but then you were to fail, people will start making fun of you even more. Like, this guy wasted, instead of like, whereas abroad, I feel not like more. If I'm looking towards like Europe and America, North America in general, people are more accepting of you taking that risk, whereas here, in general, society, if you fail, will look down at you even more.
Definitely more accepting, but I'm sure you go through your own.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, Zweback
sure.
does. I'm sure you go through your own hurdles as well.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
I think actually one of the biggest hurdles, and we spoke to you once before, and you touched on this a bit. Like you're saying, you've been doing this for a few years now. I'm sure it does sometimes, like any other job, get stale at a point. And something we've realized with the podcast is we're always staring at numbers, and without even realizing, we're valuing our work based off of numbers. And sometimes, I'll be honest with you, we do things that we're really proud of,
but the numbers aren't there.
The numbers just aren't really there. Sometimes we do things that I don't want to say we're not proud of them, but we know it's not our best work, and the numbers are there. So how do you deal mentally with these fluctuating numbers and keeping up with these figures?
It's just, I mean, simply, it's just part of the game. You know what I mean? It's in our nature. It's in our nature to look at those numbers, and I've been guilty of it as well. And it's important from a business perspective to be cognizant of the numbers and know generally what you're doing. And hopefully things are, I mean, you're gonna have days when it's up, you're gonna have days when it's down. And I'm probably gonna say a bunch of really cliche stuff, but
Please do.
They're cliche for a reason, man, because there's truth to it, dude. Like, I mean, but like, I mean, really, the main takeaway is that's just part of the game. I'll have a stream, that'll average, 1,200 people. Then I'll have a stream that'll average, 3,300 people. And you can't let the success or the so-called failure of, a lesser number define what you're doing and take away from the passion. You need to bring that passion consistently. And it's interesting you say that, right? Because, I've had ideas of stuff that I'd like to do, which would be more fun. maybe like a cinematic FIFA experience and upload that to YouTube, which would take, maybe it'll take ages longer to edit than a normal video, and it'll do horribly, right? Some crazy, like my masterpiece, my Scorsese FIFA masterpiece.
Yeah.
And it's cinematic and it's cool, but if no one's looking for that in the FIFA community, the hardcore users will watch, but they want to know about that card that got released at 1 p.m. That's what you have to have in the title. That Ibrahimovic card that came out at 1 o'clock, or that Messi card that's coming out next week, or the new promo. So I mean, it's a balance between things like relevancy. You obviously, in theory, you guys would want a guest who's super relevant right now, right? You'd want,
of course,
I don't know, like The Rock or something like that. That's going to get you a million clicks or whatnot.
We can get like the Lebanese Rock, which would be like Hajar or shit.
And you got your title right now, the Lebanese Rock.
The Lebanese Rock, and it's just big bald guy called Hajar, which is like literally rock in Arabic. But yeah, you were saying.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
This is where you need a Joe in the room.
Yeah, to balance out the situation. Yeah.
You know what? I feel like you guys should title every podcast you should find something about your guest that's like something like someone else, like the Lebanese Joe Rogan. Find someone that's bald. Find someone that loves elk meat and DMT or whatever, and they just call it the Lebanese Rogan.
That's the thing though. If he publicly says he loves DMT, he'll be taken to fucking international prison within a heartbeat. Exactly.
Half the people have no idea what the fuck he's talking about, and the other half would want to fucking execute him.
Exactly. It's very thin margins here. Honestly, I love your thumbnails, because that's one of the things that first
I remember
got me into your content was I think the first video I watched from you was 4 or 5 years ago probably, and I was just attracted to your thumbnails, and then it was also that thing where you don't want to be too clickbaity, and I know we've touched upon this subject before, but I have to say, like, when I do click onto your videos, I'm never disappointed. There's always that intro, you're always engaging, and I never feel let down by clicking onto one of your videos.
Yeah, even if you don't put that cinematic intro, you still, up until this day, still have like decent intros, with like the effects and the changes, like you change your voice and shit like that.
And we've had that struggle, so it's like, because we recently went onto YouTube and we're like, all right, so sometimes we talk about interesting things, but do we oversell? Should we be clickbaity? Should we be completely honest and say what it is? I mean, we're a bit kind of lost about what to do with
when
our
we first
thumbnail.
started, we were like pure audio, and then like we realized that we thought we're just gonna transition to YouTube. It's gonna be so fucking easy, and we're like, holy fucking shit.
Yeah,
dude.
we're like,
YouTube's another different monster, man.
Yeah, I mean, expectations on each platform are kind of different, right? Like, Twitter's great for conversations, but it also reflects nothing of reality. It's like it's filled with trolls, and I don't know. I need, you guys will probably have to give me some tips on Instagram, because I'm trying to get my Instagram game going. It's always been the side piece of the social platforms for me, even though it should be one of the, because it is, I think, the one that people are most engaged with.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I know what I was gonna say. The thing about uploading content that you're not 100% proud of, that resonated with me as well. I mean, it happens, man. Like, once every now and again, maybe even once every couple of weeks, I upload something and I'm like, could I have spent a little bit more time and put an extra audio bit and made that look better? Could I have spent a little bit more time on the intro? Could I have analyzed the price of this player a little bit better? Yeah, I could have, but I mean, some days that content gets out the way it does because it's meant to get out that way. And I don't know if that's too philosophical, but like, if you put something out that you're not proud about and you feel that, maybe that pushes you to go further the next day and really make that popping piece of content, or just go that extra mile for the next week or so, or something like that. So I don't know, it's a balance, and it's something I struggle with too, for sure. Just I
do agree with you though on that part where you're saying the philosophical thing, like that piece of content was supposed to come out on that day, because like when it comes to us, for instance, like if we release something that at the point in time when we release it, we think it's going to be a good thing, but then it comes out and we look at it 3, 4, 5 days down the line, then we're like, wait a minute, we should have put in more effort over here. As you said, I should have spent a few more minutes here, a few more hours there.
We've had our mistakes, for sure.
Yeah.
But you learn from them, and then that drives you to lessen those mistakes and become more meticulous, maybe, and like focus on those small details that, like, in my case, before I even started creating content when it came to podcasting, I would never really focus on like titles of videos or like thumbnails and shit like that. But now when I look into it and I just start reflecting onto how I got introduced to news channels by myself, those things really play a very, very important role in like grasping the consumer's attention. So like that has totally changed my perception when it comes to like the whole process of creating content from A to Z.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. It's a total. It all comes together. Title, meta, tags, tags like meta tags. Even the description. Yeah, I mean, I was bad about it for the longest time. Like Siri and Ibra, no one in their right mind. You know what I mean?
But I don't think that's bad though. I don't.
No,
think
no,
that's
no.
bad, honestly.
I'm literally. I mean, my grandma's half Syrian. I couldn't give a shit. Like,
On
I
the
don't
contrary, I
take
think
any
it's
offense
funny.
to that.
No, but what I mean is like the person in the community that wants the most views on that video titles it 93 rated Ibrahim. Okay, like something like OMG, what a card.
Oh, okay.
93 man of the match Ibrahimovic. And there I am in 2015, the Syrian Ibrahimovic, FIFA 15 Ultimate Team. Like, you know, that it probably cost me some views, but it's what I felt. It's like when I thought of that title, I was like, yes, that's what I want the title to be, because this is the message that I'm trying to convey.
But don't you feel remaining authentic to who you are a bit like might differentiate you in the long run when you're creating content instead of just being like what every other content creator do?
For sure.
When it comes to FIFA packs.
I've adapted my content a little bit where I try to. It's a fine balance. The whole clickbaity thing's interesting, right? Like, so I'll never say that. I'll never have a title that says, "Oh my God, I packed Messi." You open that video, I would have packed Messi. But that to me, if you upload a video called "Oh my God, I packed Messi," and then you watch the video and it's like a 15-minute long video, and there's like you're sitting through all these ads, and by the end of the video you don't get to see him pack Messi, that's clickbait. But then like OMG, we got Messi. Okay, so what if Messi's in what if you're using Messi in the game in like a draft or something like that? What if you're using Messi in the game, you didn't pack him? So some people might be let down that you said, "Oh my God, we got Messi," but you didn't actually pack him. Some people watching this will have no idea what I'm talking about right now.
Actually, the thing I did want to bring up with you, it's like a double-edged type of question. So like, I think you mentioned why FIFA. I know you love the game. You've been playing it since you were a kid. You're passionate about it. But isn't it also kind of scary to be, I don't know, having a career based off of a game that has everyone's public interest? But like, what if down the line FIFA starts to become kind of stale and people say, well, we're not really that interested in FIFA anymore, we want to go to something else? Like, do you have an exit strategy, or are you just like this loyal FIFA diehard bastard?
Hey man, you know, it's an interesting point, and it's something I think about. You know, I wouldn't say every day, but certainly an exit strategy is something. I mean, because there's no pathway. You know, there's no pathway for even podcasting or gaming for that matter. Like there's no 60-year-old gamers out there, right? So how far can we take this? How far?
Yeah, we're the ones creating the market.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the one thing I'd say about FIFA, which is kind of nice, it's a cyclical game that comes out every year. So you know, whereas GTA, which is super impressive that it came out, I don't know, 10 years ago, and is still,
and
you know,
it's
they
still
keep
fucking popping.
It's still
GTA
popping. People
GTA
still.
great.
Oh my goodness, dude! It's like
I still play Vice City. Like, I mean,
and San Andreas,
and
man. Even
Andreas,
San
those are
Andreas.
great games.
Vice City is like, quietly the best one, man, for sure.
100%.
But it's I mean, I think about it every now and again. What if FIFA went away? I mean, it's got so many things going for it. It's, you know, it's the world's game. Everyone watches football. It's FIFA. It's, you know, there's no one close. Like PES has Pro Evolution Soccer, which is like the second game down, is so far away in terms of reaching the levels of FIFA that, you know, that would be an option maybe if FIFA went away entirely for whatever reason. But I'd probably
Would you go into other things?
Yeah. Why haven't you gone into other things as well? Like, because you were mentioning earlier how like you're a very big gamer fan and you play many games. So you being a gamer, why haven't you tried to experiment creating content with different types of games?
So it's actually interesting. Some of the earliest uploads on the channel were like total weird. Age of Empires 2, Age of Kings, which interestingly, Shafiq, that was the first video game I ever saw anyone play. He was using the Phoenicians in Age of Empires. We were in like 3rd or 4th grade, and we played for like 8 hours, and that like kind of triggered my love of real-time strategy games. The next day I was like, Mom, I need that game that I saw at Shafiq's house. I need Age of Empires. And so whatever. But yeah, so I uploaded that early on. I played some GoldenEye and some other stuff, but every summer FIFA dies for a couple months, and then we all find a game that's like the game of the summer that we can kind of play and just decompress. And it's always whatever COD is popping at the time, whatever Call of Duty is like, it's always that game. So whenever I branch over there, the number, I don't upload it to YouTube. I keep YouTube and Twitch kind of separate. But if I'm just trying to chill and play a game during the summer, I'll do COD on Twitch, and the numbers will come down a little bit. But I'm having so much fun playing a game, and you know, because it's fresh and it's a totally different experience from like every angle. But yeah, COD's the only other game that I've kind of messed with. A little bit of Fortnite back when it was really kind of popping off, like
huge,
like 3 years, 4 years
things
ago.
die so fast.
Yeah,
like,
man. I totally forgot about it. I've never played it honestly, but like and I remember me and Ryan the other day just got into this conversation about FIFA, and you know, people label us as the old heads or something, but we were getting nostalgic a bit, and we were just remembering like the earlier FIFAs, like FIFA 08, FIFA 09, FIFA 10, and I would say maybe before the PlayStation 4, because I feel that there's a certain time where it was always big, but FIFA went a bit more mainstream, a bit more corporate. You might understand what I'm talking about.
Like
I might not be labeling it right.
FIFA was, for me, in its day when I first started playing it a long time ago, was so simple. You had manager mode, and then you could play 1v1 versus friends, 2v2 versus friends. Eventually the online came in where you could play friends who weren't in the same room as you.
The Ultimate Team was what started changing.
Yeah, and it had this simplicity to it that personally I loved, but me and you are both kind of old heads. We're a bit kind of...
Hey, listen, what happened with me was that my younger brother got the PlayStation 4 and never let me touch it, and I traveled to London to do my undergrad, so I got disconnected from gaming.
Your younger brother took over the seat. But for me, it was there was something so nice in the simplicity. Like even the scouting features, like when they started to introduce those features in manager mode where you actually have to scout players and wait 1 month to get their rating. I was like, fuck that, bro. Like I want to sign an 89 player. I don't want to wait 1 month for you to tell when I'm playing with like Blackpool FC to sign an 8. So for me, I love that simplicity. And I just felt like as times went on, not to sound like a boomer, but it started to get more corporate. And I get it from the business perspective. But for me, it lost that, I don't know, it lost that
The
touch.
thing is, though, what I would argue with you is that they were also adapting with the times.
Of course.
They saw how times were changing, how like online gaming was becoming more of a thing. And they're like, okay, for us to make something that's more inclusive other than just making two people playing against each other, I think that's what Ultimate Team did. It made it more of a society rather than I'll play against you, Zweback, or I'll play against you, or you play against him. Where you're creating teams,
a network,
and networking and training shit. So,
but where I will, okay, I agree with what you're saying, and I get it from and maybe you can chime in on this. I get it from the business perspective, but there is that kind of rhetoric. It can get unfair because if you spend, and I have a friend, and I don't know if he's gonna watch this. I think no joke, he spent over $10,000 on like Ultimate Team and packs and everything like that. Yeah, and so there is that kind of notion that okay, if you're gonna spend the most, you're gonna be the best because you're gonna get the best tools. It's kind of like in Formula One. Like if you spend the most,
he's a fucking Man City, isn't he?
No, he's a Chelsea fan, which is not too far, by the way. It's like Chelsea were Man City 20 years ago, so
I'm
it's
gonna
not
hide
too far.
right now.
So I don't know, man. Do you think there is this kind of degree of unfairness, I guess, of if you have the most money, if you're willing to spend on the most, then you are going to be the best?
For sure. I mean, there's for sure a pay-to-win component to the game. There's no question about it. You know, you can, like you said, you can pump in, and I mean, I know people that have just put in just ridiculous amounts of money into Ultimate Team, and you know, they have Ronaldo, Mbappe, Neymar at the end of day 2, right? I would say, though, I don't think a great team is going to make you, it's not going to put you it's going to give you an advantage for sure. You'll have an advantage. A huge advantage, as a matter of fact, especially early in the game. But you still have to make that pass. You still have to time the shot. You still have to do all these little things when it comes to tactics that don't involve the rating of your player. You have to do all these little things fast, and you have to do them in a way that is meta. And so while I agree you do have an advantage, I don't think it's I don't think, you know, would I get elite? So would I finish better in the weekend league with a god tier squad, you know, by pumping in thousands of dollars into the game? Sure. But probably, I get enjoyment out of, so I run my Road to Glory, which I'm actually looking at the team right now on the screen in front of me. I haven't put a penny in the game, and I'm really happy with how the team looks. And like, yeah, I have an 80 rated center back named Klosterman in the Bundesliga who plays like he's 89, but he cost me 1,200. He cost me 1,200 coins as opposed to freaking icon Rio Ferdinand, who's like $500,000. So I don't know. I take a strong sense of pride in the fact that I don't put money on this account. Now on the other account, I'll put some money on that so I can do content for YouTube. So there, you know, it's
makes sense.
Balances out.
That's your business.
That's
Yeah, that
your
makes
business,
sense.
yeah.
No, that's like a classic business, investing in R&D or whatever. That's like that's a.
Oh, turning it corporate.
Yeah, I had to turn a corporate. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry for anyone who doesn't understand what R&D is. It's research and development.
But
I say this unemployed. Yeah.
The point that you had made before is interesting too. About literally I knew it just went away. You know when you had the thought in your mind.
It was that. It was the whole point of I don't know, the simplicity to me.
Yes,
like for me.
Yeah.
You know, like for me, like me and my friends would sit down, we'd randomize 3 teams each, and you only could do it 3 times. And I would get like an international team, El Salvador versus Brazil. And you know what? I'd get destroyed. But if I scored that 1 goal with El Salvador, it would be like the fucking World Cup. I would spray champagne all over.
What I used to like doing before like Ultimate Team became a thing, and before like I'm talking about like the early days of the PlayStation 3, was that like I used to go when Watford was in the 2nd division or the 3rd division. I used to like taking like a team like Watford. I remember this so well, and like just fucking building it up, and until like I win the Premier League, and they didn't have the Champions League. They had like the Euro League or something because they weren't the official sponsors of the Champions League.
Yeah, they'd have that like nondescript name, like
for the
European glory, make cup glorious.
Yeah, 100%.
So so from a simplicity's perspective, FIFA 14 and 15 Ultimate Team, it was very bland. We had. You know, you had 10 divisions, you got a coin bonus for advancing through divisions, and that was pretty much it. There was no draft, there was no foot champions, the squad building challenges. I think about how far we've come in terms of content. There's almost too much to do. And it's funny because we look back at those days where we really didn't have, where there wasn't as much to do, but we look back at it with nostalgia. Like what you think of the soundtrack, you think about the songs that you heard
100%.
in the
The songs.
FIFA always
Great
has the best soundtracks. So it's like, all those things play into how you feel about a game. So yeah, I look back on the earlier FIFAs definitely with fondness for sure, 100%.
You said something about the soundtrack. So like even I could go back to FIFA 08 up until now. Like FIFA always have the best track lists. Like in terms of like the games that I've played, and me and you were again talking about playing songs to each other.
If an artist makes it onto a FIFA soundtrack, that's a big break. Like it turned into a very big thing for an artist to make it.
For a while, they had like that niche pop, indie pop type of like soundtracks that they played, which were like insane.
And they went grime a bit.
One of them, I don't know if you might remember this way back, Big Bang. The Big
Oh
Bang.
my God.
The reason
you're alive. See, like that's a FIFA thing. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't.
100%.
Who knows if we would have heard of that without FIFA? Or, you know,
100%. No, my dad's probably listening and he's thinking we had just had a stroke, right? Definitely. And other than obviously, we all love the game of FIFA and what you do is super interesting. But do people try to just, I don't know, put you in the box of, oh, you're this FIFA guy? Because we've met you now. This is the 2nd time. You're a nice guy. You're a funny guy, and you're interesting. And I don't know. What type of things besides FIFA do you enjoy? Are you? I mean, we haven't even spoken about this, but are you a football fan? Do you like the game of football?
Love it.
You said something that you studied film, and Ryan himself was like a very huge.
I'm a film buff, yeah.
Yeah, dude. Dude, listen, man. When I have a meal at a restaurant and it's good or bad, I'll give it a Rotten Tomatoes rating. That just to give you some idea. You know what I mean? Like so. Yeah.
Nice.
I don't like giving things over 90%. You know, if it's a big deal. If it's
you're
that's
a tough
good
sell. You're a tough sell.
I'm a tough sell. So like, if something's really good, I hover around like the 87 to 88%. You know. But also on the other side, I rarely give anything below 70%. So I'm always within that.
Yeah, so you're fair, but also at the same time, it's tough to sell you on the full 100 or 95.
100%. Yep.
Cool. And what about football teams? Do you support any football teams?
Bayern,
of course. There's the German in you as well.
Yeah. So
you're pretty happy last summer.
I mean, it's been a good couple of years. There's some injuries though. I don't know. The national team's suffering, so that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, you guys got hammered by Spain last week, 6-0.
He's got to go. Yogi Löw has to go. But
I think he's past it. I think like he did his thing with Germany, and I think he's just been there for like almost 10 years right now. I think it's about time somebody else comes in, like injects some fresh blood into it.
Plus, I think he got too comfortable. Like any manager that's willing to pick his nose in front of like
Bro,
on
this
live
guy.
on live television.
Shove it up his ass.
And what do you have to lose at that point? You know what I mean? Like,
You know he's done it so many times though.
no, I know, but that's what he got so comfortable. He's like, you know what? I could probably like respectfully maybe diarrhea on this field and I'll still be in a job because I won the World Cup. Like, there's too much comfort. You know, you need a bit of like a fire up your ass sometimes.
Yeah.
So it's Germany and Bayern Munich. Okay, fair enough. So
I think something that really, like 2 days ago, fucking Diego Maradona passed away, and I saw that you posted a very sentimental post on Instagram. I was really affected because he was one of my footballing icons growing up, even though I never watched him play.
Me neither.
But like I watched almost every single documentary or interview you could find about him. I've like studied the guy from A to Z, and I felt like, damn, like you working in FIFA as well. I'm sure, like I was talking to Ryan, I'm sure like the next FIFA 21 is gonna have the cover of FIFA is going to be Diego Maradona for sure, and they're gonna create like a special pack for him within the next few months just to commemorate him.
So they gifted everyone that has an Ultimate Team account. They gifted the Argentina home and away kit. So every account got that gifted for free, and then a tifo, which is like a banner that you can display in your stadium, and of Maradona just like celebrating. So it was a nice touch, and then it said like "Gracias Diego," and then just a nice message about his passing, and here's these items to honor him. And so everyone, for my weekend league run, I made my entire stadium blue. I had a Napoli stadium theme because he obviously meant so much for that club. And
they renamed their stadium now to São Paulo. They renamed it to Diego Maradona Stadium.
Yeah, it's beautiful. But yeah, man, total legend, man. Total legend.
I just wish I was old enough to see him play. Like I wish I actually watched him during his prime, because there's always that debate about Maradona or Messi, and I don't know. Like I feel maybe his impact from a forget football, but more from like a socio-cultural perspective is way bigger than Messi's. Like
he won the World Cup.
Other than the World Cup, like for the things he stood for.
There's not an athlete that means as much to where he's from. United States, we have Michael Jordan, but like he's considered a little bit somewhat like maybe too arrogant or whatever, and it's for sure Jordan, right? Or like Switzerland has Federer, and there's other countries and stuff, but I don't think anyone really means as much to their country like Maradona still means to Argentina.
Even if Messi wins the World Cup.
I think even if Messi wins the World Cup, Maradona meant something to that country during a time and still does, and Messi means something to them now in a different way than Maradona does.
Yes,
Maradona's God. Messi may one day for sure be revered and idolized the way that Maradona was, but right now, Maradona, he's religion. And Messi
They've
would
named
probably
churches after him, man.
Yeah,
They've named churches after him.
Iglesia de Maradona, something or the other. But yeah, it's crazy. Dries Mertens, actually, he's a player for Napoli. He's the all-time goal scorer. He came out and he said something really beautiful. He said, if my name has ever been mentioned alongside yours, I apologize. He said this after the passing yesterday, and
that's a good way to pay respect.
Forever my idol.
Rest in peace, Maradona. He had his demons, but my God, he was a player.
He was
just off of YouTube compilations.
Exactly, that's the thing, man.
That's because that's what our generation had, YouTube compilations. But my God, he was a player.
Some of the documentaries or commentaries give me goosebumps up until this fucking day.
At least we have that too. With the argument with Pele is we don't have a lot of footage of his European campaign, and just not a whole lot of footage in general, but thank God that during the era of television and broadcast, we have all these moments from Maradona where we can go back and relive them and see what he was about. So,
especially when Pele was playing without the offside rule, which is insane to me. Like, as well, I just wanted to ask. Obviously, FIFA is where it's at right now. How many times do you upload per week?
It used to be like every day, and I'd have a lot of pressure to upload every day. But like if a Sunday comes around and I'm kind of just trying to chill, and I know I'm going to be streaming that night, I might take the day off YouTube, or I might upload a YouTube video and then take the day off Twitch. There will be times I'll just take off both just to kind of decompress and re-energize. But pretty much during peak FIFA season, pretty much daily, and then streaming like 5-6 times. 5-6
Yeah,
times a week.
you're quite consistent with it. And not to sound like you're a parole officer or anything, but do you think really far ahead? Like, do I want to be doing FIFA videos for the next 30 years of my life, as long as the income is coming in and I'm happy and I feel like I'm giving back to the community?
Or do you want to diversify?
Or is there something else that you want to kind of achieve and do?
I don't know, man. I think about that scene in Titanic when they're grilling Jack Dawson at the table. It's like, don't you find living this way is rather, or something like that? It's rather
On point, on point impression.
Something.
Yeah.
It's like, well, and then he takes a bite of the bread. He's like, yesterday I won a ticket on a game of backgammon. Now I'm here with you fine folks. And then he takes a little sip of his wine or whatever. It's like, yeah, I mean, I really take
Day
it
by
a day. Exactly. Day by day. Do I think about the future? For sure. Is it scary? 100%. I mean, but that's true for any of us. I mean, whether you're working for a company that you think is never going to go anywhere, or you're in a super hot, volatile industry, you never really know. So, I mean, I don't know. I try not to think too far ahead, just because my own mind will just do a little bit too much. So you just,
I feel you.
Ride the wave. Ride the wave.
Ride the wave,
Ride the wave.
detoxify, go for walks, go to the gym, watch movies, enjoy your life.
Watch some football as
And
well.
the only thing I would recommend for your future is if we can get you back in Lebanon, not virtually,
Oh man.
present here.
Yeah, hopefully once the situation calms down a bit and like
Where you
get to
guys
meet you in
taking
person.
me? You taking me to the train station club? What are we doing? We're going to the train station.
we did the train station club.
Bro,
exactly.
I want to go there. I want to have some drinks. I want that train to be working, and then we ride the train out of.
And
the
then we
club to
ride
some
the
other-
train. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
okay.
it's not even a metaphor. We literally ride the
the
train. I mean, look, we'd love to have you.
Yeah.
You're a super nice guy. You've achieved a lot, and I think
Yeah.
your story is honestly amazing.
Very
So,
inspirational to so many.
Yeah. So thank you so much, Zoe, and hopefully
Yeah.
we'll have you here in person.
And hopefully we'll get to meet you one day in person as well.
Yeah, man. Hey, and if not, well, let's do this again. I'm more than down to do this again sometime. But the dream would be 100% in person.
Yeah.